Hi everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to CAT Editorial RCs. My name is Abhilasha, and as you know, we've been discussing reading comprehension passages from different editorials in this series. So, keeping that in mind, today's session is based on an editorial from The Economist. I hope you will like it. Remember that Economist is one of those sources where the CAT RCs are coming from in large numbers. At least 3 to 4 passages from The Economist come every year in your CAT paper. So, therefore, it's a wonderful source to be preparing for, right? I hope I am audible and visible and that you can see me and hear me very clearly. If you can, then can you quickly give me a yes or no so I know and all of us are on the same page. Please check if I'm visible, if I'm audible, and all of that. Also, in the meanwhile, I hope you have shared the session with your friends, those who are preparing as well as you are, or those who are preparing with you at the same time. So please share the session. Also, please hit the like button. Remember, your like is our lives. And also remember to subscribe to the chat, because if you haven't subscribed, guys, then you will not be able to uh, participate in the chat. So do remember to subscribe to our channel. That's very important, guys. Thank you so much for doing this. I hope everybody's done this. You can also write your name, and if you have written CAT 2024 or any of the previous editions of CAT, you can tell me. Definitely, that is very exciting for me. Have you written CAT any of the previous ones, 2024, 23, or whichever one? If you have, then you can write that in the chat box along with your names. I'll be very happy to know. Let me reiterate, my name is Abhilasha. I've been teaching for CAT for the last so many years, and I have cracked CAT with the 99.99% several times. So here is your editorial RC for today. Without wasting any more time, guys, we will get into the passage and we will start looking at our questions straight up. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Today's editorial is from The Economist. Here it is, your passage. So again, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to read this part of the passage. There are two parts of the passage here. This is the second part. So read the passage, this portion, then we will come to the second part, and then we will read that and take a look at the questions. Okay, I'm going to mute myself for the first 2 minutes. All right, here goes. All right, guys, I hope you have read this part of the passage. Let's take a look at this and read it together. So it says, moreover, Mr. Trump wants to be a deal maker, somebody who's tying up deals, and he hopes a Nobel laureate. He wants to win the Nobel Prize. In his first term, faced with the choice between allowing Israel to annex parts of the West Bank, annex means to take control over, right? And pursuing the Abraham Accords. Accord is, of course, friendship. He opted for the latter. Mike Huckabee, his nominee for ambassador to Israel, has long been a vocal supporter of annexation. At his confirmation hearing on March 25th, however, he tried to distance the administration from his past views. It would not be my prerogative. Prerogative means my right to make annexation the policy of the president. When it comes to Iran, so when it is the Iran's issue, Mr. Trump is at odds. So he's fighting with many of his advisors who oppose efforts to negotiate a new agreement that would limit the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. So the advisors don't want to negotiate a new agreement. Everyone around him is against a deal. People don't want that, says an Arab diplomat. Some officials in Washington wonder if recent American airstrikes against the Houthis were not only a warning to Iran, but a trial run of sorts. So was he planning to fight a war? For now, though, Mr. Trump seems intent on making a deal. So Mr. Trump wants to make a deal. Steve Witkoff, his Middle East envoy. Envoy means his messenger, right? So probably a diplomat thinks he can negotiate one quickly. He has told Republicans that he does not want to repeat the experience of John Kerry, Barack Obama's Secretary of State, who spent months in 2015 haggling over a 159-page pact known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. So it has already happened and he wants to negotiate one very, very quickly. That's Steve Witkoff's idea. All right, let's take a look at the second part of the passage. Again, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to read this and then we will continue. All right. All right, guys, let's read the passage together. This dilemma means a problem that is very difficult to answer, may soon come to a head. Come to a head means it will need some sort of a resolution, right? It will need a resolution. The European signatories to the JCPOA have until October 18 to trigger the deal's snapback provision, which would reimpose UN sanctions on Iran. Military planners would also prefer to carry out any strikes before winter weather makes the task harder. So they want to do it quickly. If Iran is unwilling to negotiate a serious deal, it seems possible that Mr. Trump would not only bless an Israeli strike but join it. So he could do that. If Iran is willing to talk, however, Mr. Netanyahu could find himself with an unpalatable choice. Unpalatable means something that is not acceptable, right? He does not want it, but he might just have to face it. Defy the president and act unilaterally. Defy means to rebel against. And act unilaterally means one-sided, or back down and accept a nuclear pact that will probably be weaker than the JCPOA, which he denounced. He had already rejected the JCPOA, but now he might just have to back down and accept this nuclear pact. Even for a hegemon is a dictator. Huh? Very lovely words here. Regional diplomacy is fraught with such quandaries. Fraught means full of. And quandary is a dilemma, a problem that is not easily solved. One way or another, Israel will have to find a way to live with 5 million Palestinians, with its neighbors in Lebanon, and with whatever regime emerges in Syria. They don't have a choice. It will also have to live with itself, so it has to accept what it has done. For decades, external threats helped unite the country. Now, by trying to stamp out those external threats so ferociously, so strongly, okay, Israel's government is deepening divisions at home. That means the society is, there are divisions in the society, okay? So problems everywhere for Mr. Netanyahu, right? All right, let's take a look at the questions. Here is your first question. Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? Again, I'm going to give you a minute to read and then we will discuss this. I'm waiting for your answers. Guys, you can take a minute and read and then give me an answer. The success of Abraham Accord reflects a long-standing US policy of avoiding Israeli annexation. Mr. Trump prioritizes diplomacy when it aligns with personal ambition. So because remember, he wants what? He wants the Nobel Prize. Now for that, he is trying to prioritize diplomacy. So this can be inferred. The first one, we don't know if the success of Abraham Accords has happened also, that we cannot say. The JCPOA was a widely appreciated and effective agreement, but Israel has rejected it. So was it a widely appreciated one? No. Let's eliminate C. Mike Huckabee's confirmation hearing solidified US's policy on annexation. No, it did not solidify US policy on annexation. He said that he would not impose his views on the president, but that did not solidify anything. So I can eliminate A, C, and D. Therefore, the best answer will be option number B, that Mr. Trump looks for diplomacy when his personal ambitions are aligned with it, right? So therefore, correct answer will be option number B. We can quickly go back to the passage. See, Mr. Trump wants to be a deal maker and he hopes a Nobel laureate. So that is why he is fighting for diplomacy and he is looking at becoming a Nobel laureate. So therefore, that is the very first statement of the passage gives you this, that he's interested in becoming a Nobel laureate, and that's why he's looking for becoming a deal maker. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the second one. According to the passage, which of the following statements is true regarding Steve Witkoff's approach to the Iran deal? Now, what is Steve Witkoff's approach to the Iran deal? We'll have to look at the passage again, right? So let's quickly take that minute and see. So Steve Witkoff and his Iran deal was mentioned somewhere here in the passage. In the second part of the paragraph, we've seen it. Steve Witkoff, his Middle East envoy, thinks he can negotiate one quickly. What is this one? Of course, the deal, right? So therefore, answer should be something like this. Let's take a look. He prefers a detailed agreement like the JCPOA, but that will take 18 months, 19 months. Is he interested in that? No. So eliminate. He believes John Kerry's efforts were efficient. He does not mention John Kerry's effort at all. So not B at all. He's optimistic about negotiating a deal swiftly. Yes, he says that he might be able to make the deal very quickly. So C can be an answer. Look at D. He seeks guidance from military planners before initiating talks. Well, did the passage even talk about military planners? No. And therefore D is not possible. So the best answer here is going to be option number C, that is optimistic about negotiating a deal swiftly. Remember, in the passage, whenever some names are given, okay, names are given, dates are given, right? Please remember to pay attention to these. Why? Because these are mostly places where questions will be made from. So this is essentially what you call a question pocket, right? So the minute I saw that Steve Witkoff, I knew there would be a question from there. Okay, so that's something that you pay attention to. All right, let's take a look at the third question. All of the following are true as per the passage except. Remember, true plus except. Now, this can be an inferential question. This can also be a factual question. Now, here, of course, because it says is true as per the passage, that means this is a factual question. Okay. So, if it's a factual question, true plus except, remember, is going to be false. So, you're looking for that statement that is false. So, that is one way of doing it. Or the other way is you can eliminate all the true statements and then come back to your option that remains, and that will be your false answer. So that is also how you can do it. Okay. All right. Let's take a moment, read, and then try and find the answer for this. So European countries have until mid-October to potentially trigger snapback sanctions. Okay, I'll have to check. The snapback is, yeah, they have until October 18th. Right. So therefore, this is true. So cannot be my answer. Mr. Netanyahu may have to choose between unilateral action and accepting a weaker deal is true. This we know. He had only two choices. US military planners prefer launching strikes in the summer months. Well, this is also true. They don't want the winters. Iran has clearly refused to negotiate on its nuclear program. This is actually something that we don't know. So this is the one that will be your answer. D should be the correct answer. Okay. We'll eliminate all the true answers. Whatever remains has to be your answer. Therefore, D, clearly your answer. See, if Iran is unwilling, not that it has refused. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the next question. Which of the following, if true, would most strengthen the argument that Mr. Trump is pursuing a new deal primarily for personal legacy? You have to strengthen it. Now, remember, in order to strengthen an argument, you can do two things. Number one, you can paraphrase the argument. Number two, you can find some supporting proof, some supporting evidence, okay, for that argument. And both of these are good ways of identifying how to strengthen an argument. So take a minute, look at which of these will be strengthened, and that will be your answer. Let's take a minute and find out. I'm waiting for your answer, guys. All right, let's take a look at this question. So it says, he has frequently mentioned the Nobel Prize in private conversations. So if he's talking about the Nobel Prize in private conversations, he is looking at building the personal legacy. Now, this is something that can be supporting evidence and therefore can be a good choice. So I'll keep this in my reckoning. I will look at the second one. He has openly criticized the JCPOA as too complex, but that does not push for personal legacy, right? So therefore, that is not pushing for personal legacy and therefore cannot be my answer. He has no military strategy to follow up if talks fail. Well, again, this is not talking about the personal legacy. He has recently appointed a new nuclear envoy with bipartisan support. Again, this would not be personal legacy at all. So the only one that actually pushes for personal legacy is option number A. And that is why that's going to be your correct answer. Okay. I hope you got that. All right, let's take a look at the fifth question. Which of the following can be most reasonably inferred about Israel's internal dynamics? So, what do we understand about Israel's internal dynamics? We'll need to find out. This was mentioned towards the last part of the passage itself. So, let's just go to the passage. Let's take a minute and we'll try and see what the passage was saying about this. So it had said, for decades, external threats external threats helped unite the country. Now, by trying to stamp out those external threats so ferociously, Israel's government is deepening divisions at home. So, because they're trying to stamp out those threats very, very strongly, with a heavy arm, what is happening is that within the country there is the divisions are deepening. So there is a problem inside the country, right? So this is where you will find your answer for this given question. Let's read it and try and see. Okay, question number 5. Let's take a look. So it says Israel's increasing aggressiveness is making it more united. We said deepening divisions. Did you see that? Now, deepening divisions does not mean united, right? So therefore, A is incorrect. Let's look at B. Domestic unity in Israel is being undermined by external politics. Yes, because they're trying to stamp out the external threats ferociously. So therefore, there are problems. There's deepening division within the country. So it is being undermined. This can be a choice of answer for us. I'll put a question mark on this. Israel no longer faces any credible external threats. This is something very imaginary. This is so false. Even the passage says something so opposite to it. So C cannot be an answer. Let's look at D. The government has resolved internal differences about annexation. Has it resolved internal differences, or the internal differences have increased? They have increased, right? So therefore, D is false according to the passage. So not D also. So the best option for us will be option number B. In fact, that's the only one that will work, guys. There cannot be any other answer, right? I hope you're able to follow me, and I hope you are understanding why we are going with whichever answer. Please keep writing in your answers. I will keep giving you some time or the other, right? Okay, let's go to the next question. So here was the answer explanation. Trying to stamp out those external threats is deepening divisions at home. So that external threats, when you're trying to stamp out, the problems at home are increasing, right? All right, let's look at the next one. All of the following are false except. Remember, false except. So true except is false. Okay, and false except is going to be obviously true, right? So remember this, wherever you get a false except, you know you're looking for something that is true according to the passage. Okay, so take a moment, read this, and find out and tell me which of these is going to be true. I'm just going to take 30 seconds and then look at your answer. Again, you can do this question in either of the ways. You can find the option that is false and eliminate those. And then whatever remains, that becomes your correct answer. I mean, that's also perfectly okay. This is also how you can do it. No problems at all. Okay, Mr. Trump has appointed Steve Witkoff as Secretary of State. No, he is the envoy in Middle East, right? So therefore, A is false. Now, whatever is false cannot be my answer. The Abraham Accords were signed after Israel annexed the West Bank. Israel has not yet annexed it. So again, false, so cannot be my answer. Mike Huckabee unequivocally supports annexation in his current role. Does he unequivocally support it? No, in his speech, if we go back to the passage, he says he tried to distance the administration. He says it would not be my prerogative to make annexation the policy of the president. But has he unequivocally done it? He has not, right? So he does not unequivocally support annexation in his current role. So I will not be able to take this. So false again. So eliminate A, B, and C. Look at D. Mr. Trump overrode his advisor's opinions on negotiating with Iran. Well, Mr. Trump's opinions were, his advisor's opinions were otherwise, his opinions were otherwise, and yet he just went along with his own opinion. So this is the one that is true, or your answer. So your answer here is going to be D, guys. I hope you got that, right? All right. Okay. So yes, D, Mr. Trump is at odds with his advisor who opposed the deal, and yet he's intent on making a deal. So that's your answer, guys. I hope this is clear to you. I hope if you have any questions, please always feel free to ask me your doubts. You can put the doubts in the chat box. You can just write Abhilasha ma'am and then put in your questions. Remember to hit like, share, and subscribe, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. I will see you next week with one more session where we will be doing some more questions. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Adios, my amigos.